What we are going to talk about today is truly a game changer for medical professionals who want to buy a home. I'm so excited to introduce our guest to you today. In the studio, I'm joined by someone who is not only a trusted lending expert, but also a true professional I've personally leaned on many times for guidance. He is knowledgeable, incredibly helpful, and he brings unique programs to the table that can make a real difference for certain buyers, especially medical professionals. Please meet our amazing guest, Amayakyan from Wintrust Mortgage.
Thanks for having me, yeah.
It is so nice to have you here today. I have a lot of questions about you, your company, and why you're so good at what you're doing. But before we dive into your background, I want to start with this program that immediately caught my attention when you and I talked about it for the first time a few months ago. The one that is designed for medical professionals. Can you please walk us through the details of this program and tell us why it is such a game changer for doctors?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Wintrust Medical Professional Loan Program was designed specifically for physicians, dentists, and other medical professionals. And there's really two key components of the program that make it very unique. So the first is that it is a low to no down payment mortgage program, and secondly, it's a program where there is no PMI, so no mortgage insurance. Let me get into a little bit of the tiers so our guests, viewers can understand how the program works.
Please.
So the no down payment, we are capped at a purchase price of $850,000. So somebody could purchase a home at $850,000, 100% financing, no PMI. The second tier is a loan amount of $1,250,000. That's a minimum 3% down.
Which is very low.
Very low, yeah. The next tier is $1,500,000. That's with a 5% down, and then the last is a $2 million loan amount, and that's a 10% down payment. So
that is incredible.
Yeah, it truly is. If you think about it, like buying a $2.2 million home, putting down 10%, no PMI, executing on really sharp interest rates, it's definitely a game changer.
It is a game changer. Or buying $850,000 home, and then you have no down payment,
Correct.
No private mortgage insurance.
Correct.
And from what I've heard, you also guys offer really competitive interest rate. By the way, for those who do not know, the combination of these three is kind of unknown unless we are talking about our veterans and the VA loans.
Very true.
Let's unpack this a little bit more. What type of doctors qualify for this program, and how flexible the guidelines are when it comes to student loans or residency status?
Great question. So the program covers a variety of physicians, right? So medical doctors, MDs, DOs, dentists, optometrists, chiropractors, veterinarians even.
Wow.
And like you said, it also applies to those folks who are 6 months away from completing a residency program.
No way.
Correct.
Okay.
And really the way we look at it, the way Wintrust looks at these deals, we understand that when doctors are just starting their career, they have a lot of student loan debt, right?
That is
Not
true.
a lot of cash saved up. They may have, a high earning position, but the way we look at the student loan repayment and the debt is unique to our program. And then going back to the residents that are just completing their studies, right? They may not have a pay stub,
That's
right?
true.
But
That's true.
as long as they have a signed employment agreement, we could use that employment agreement for income purposes and underwriting purposes, which is great.
That is great. And what I love about it, you do not need to be, it sounds like, an established medical professional. If you're right in the beginning of your
That's
career,
correct.
you can still qualify for this loan. That is incredible. That is a perfect start for a lot of professionals who are trying to get into the first home. Can you please share with our audience and myself an example of a real doctor who recently used this program successfully? We just want to see how powerful this program is in today's competitive market.
Absolutely. So one comes to mind right away. It's a young physician who had just finished her studies, had a lucrative job lined up, so had her signed employment agreement, and things kind of collided. Her search for a home and her just starting her career. So like I said, she didn't have a lot of money. So she was in the $1.2 million range,
Okay.
and that fell right within that second tier. So she put down 3%, which was $36,000 on $1.2 million purchase.
That is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we pre-approved her, got her offer accepted. We closed this a couple weeks ago. So
Congratulations.
she couldn't be happier. And
I cannot even imagine.
Yeah,
that
was
sounds
great.
that sounds like a miracle, but it's true. So V, you've built a really strong reputation in mortgage lending, and I know firsthand how knowledgeable you are. In fact, I know a few reputable people who told me that they keep coming back to you simply because you're one of the best. Can you please share your journey with us? How you started, what drives you to serve your clients the way you do, and what's that passion behind it that makes you keep going?
Great question. So everyone's journey is a little different. So mine started, in college, cold calling for a mortgage company. That's how I got my feet wet in the business. Really enjoyed what I was doing. Kind of transitioned into that position after I finished my studies, and here we are 20 years later. I think I've helped more than 900 families purchase their
In 20 years,
in 20
almost
years.
1,000.
That's correct. Yeah. So
Good for you.
I look at every deal the same way. I treat it like it's my own personal transaction. I take pride in communication, education, and just keeping people, comfortable with their decision, giving them options that are going to meet their, financial needs, and just getting somebody into a home. It's just, there's no better feeling.
Let's talk about Wintrust for a moment. For people who are not very familiar with this company, especially here in South Bay, where you and I work, can you give us a bit more details what Wintrust is about, why it is unique, and how would you describe it to someone who has never heard of it and has only had experience with big banks?
Sure, yeah. So Wintrust Mortgage is an FDIC insured bank, right? Their headquarters are in Chicago, but they kind of made their way out west probably 12 years ago.
Okay.
That's kind of when I started working with them. And the best way I could describe it is that it has the strength, the stability, and the product range that any other major, national bank has. But the main difference is that it's more of a personal community bank feel. And the way that translates into what I do for my customers is, quicker response times with my underwriting team. Obviously the product range we talked about, this medical professional program that some of the bigger banks just don't have.
That's true.
So, all of those factors have made my relationship and my, ties with Wintrust very, very successful the last 12 years.
It sounds like, yes, I definitely have seen it myself. So because Wintrust is a bank itself, I would imagine that you guys can offer some special perks to the clients who choose to build relationship with you. So can you please share with us a little bit if there are any pricing incentives or interest rate incentives that you can offer to the buyer? Yeah,
so just like any other financial institution, if a customer does establish a new relationship, a depository relationship with the bank, that can translate into lower mortgage rates if a client's in the market for a home, and the level and the amount of the incentive depends on the relationship amount. But the key here is that we want to reward clients who want to keep their entire finances under one roof, so to speak. Yes. Just makes it easier, and it's worked out for a lot of my clients in the past who've made the decision to start that relationship with the bank. That's very nice. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Yeah. It's we are honored. We truly are. I love shining light on programs that truly help buyers solve a problem. And it sounds like your doctor's program is exactly that. It is smart, it is strategic, and it is surprisingly very accessible from what I've heard. For anyone watching who is in the medical field or knows someone who is, this could be the opportunity that makes home ownership happen sooner than you think. V, thank you again for being here. Absolutely. And thank you for everything you do to help people make their dream of home ownership a reality. Thanks for having me. Thank you. Thank you.